Member of Parliament for the Democratic Movement MoDem for the French community living in Germany, Eastern Europe and the Balkans. And you're based, I understand, in Warsaw. Yes. So thank you for coming to see us. And last but not least, in Rome, as we've been saying, the numbers are down. New arrivals are down in terms of overall number. But do you think the political debate is going to get louder before it quietens down? Do you think we haven't yet seen the storm reach its crescendo, if you like, with regard to this political debate?
Well, I think for sure there are cultural differences inside the 28 in terms of every country has its own culture of integration, of homogeneity of its population, and we cannot be every 28 on the same line at once. I would like to say a few things. I am in the majority here, but I am from a party which since 15 years is talking about humanism and kind of Europe. It means the solution are European solution and humanist solution. Okay, we cannot tackle this issue without a global vision about all the migration in the world. We are not the crisis that we are talking about is not a very big issue according to the amount of migration. I remind that the big problem is in Lebanon, is in Turkey, okay, not in Europe. Of course, for us it's Europe, but not in Europe. I think that we have to tackle this issue at 28, but it will take a little time for everybody to understand that only European politics about refugee status, about help to Africa, will be able to tackle this issue at what we all humanism people are willing.
Okay, well, we're going to revisit some of the solutions that are being put forward in just a moment. You know, the discussions taking place there in Salzburg, to a certain extent, leaders on the same page with regards to trying new initiatives to address this issue. And I'm wondering whether one of the things that everyone there agrees with, and perhaps everyone here in the studio agrees with, is that there have to be limits, don't there? You can't have a lack of control on this particular issue. There have to be limits on the number of people that can come and live in Europe, because otherwise there won't be the adequate facilities and adequate means to welcome those people on arrival. I just want to start by asking you, Frédéric, for your thoughts on that.
Yeah, I agree with what was said. I was even a little, for me it was a good surprise what we heard from our colleague from Rome. And I agree also that I don't know if there are limits, because it's we have to integrate this refugee problem in the whole worldwide migration problems, and I think we cannot foresee what will be. We didn't talk here about climate migration, which will come. Okay, it's not about limits. I think about control. Yes, we have to control. We have to have a strategy. It's clear that in France, we said that during the debate, my party said that we are lacking a clear legal migration strategy, especially in France, but everywhere. You know that in my circumstances, there are problems because in Montenegro, people are saying that Germany is stealing our young people. Okay, you know that in Poland, you have a lot of Ukraine migration, 1.5 million, maybe, not control. I think we have to control, we have to have a strategy about migration, strategy about refugee. I think also that the problem is not the come back to their country. The problem is to have a global analysis about refugee. It's a global analysis. We are in war, we are in conflict, and we have to integrate this debate not at the police debate, not at the Ministry of Interior debate, but we have to integrate that in development debate. We made a proposition during the law that a part of the problem in France should be taken by the Agency of Development, because when we have here people even asking for a refugee status, which are coming from the country that we are already helping. We should organize the treatment of these people before the judgment, before the status. We should organize that as a foreign affair problem, not as a policy problem, as the police problem or at the order problem. And borders is exactly the same. I think we need borders. Europe needs borders, but borders not as a wall, border as a sign, border as a symbol, border as how to cross them, how to discuss. Okay? And I think this kind of things are very useful in order to make a good integration and to be prepared to the future. The future will be a migration. Worldwide migration issue, and we have to be prepared and not to shall we tell all these things. I would like to add something. The specificity of Europe. Europe is not a melting pot. Europe is a stew pot. It was said 30 years ago. It means that we are the only big player construct about differences. That it's a way that we are in conflict, but we are not making war. It was the origin of Europe. And I think we have to continue and to integrate. The integration will be in this spirit in our continent and in our European
Austria speaking there about the focus on protecting our external borders. He says it's to stop illegal immigration and to stop human trafficking. Has he got a point?
Yes, I would like to react about this issue. Are we doing the hotspot here or there or in the third country? I think the next step, if there will be a good next step in Europe, is the common European asylum agency. It means we have to decide together that there is one. We have to delegate, as we delegate the coal and iron at the beginning. We have to delegate that to a common. It's not normal that somebody can be refused in Germany and is asking once again in France, and the law said, okay, you have to ask again. We have to delegate this part and to have only one European agency dealing with that. And after that, I think that I agree with you. It will be not possible. Of course, a part can be there. We did that with France. We have a hotspot in Mali, but it's not possible to imagine that we will make the border operation in Egypt. It's useful to do things like that. I think it's clearly helping. It will help the development fund. It will help the better recognition of countries and of problems between Africa and Europe. But it's not. It's unrealistic to think that we will solve all problems not in our borders. But I think we have, first of all, we have to construct our own asylum agency together and to delegate, really to make something under the European Parliament and European Commission. Yes, I think we have to implement a strong Frontex, especially because Frontex is in Warsaw, but not only. I think that we need borders in Europe. That means border for Europe, not only for protecting, not only for migration, not only for control, but also for us, because I think border is helping. You have a peaceful way of having border. Border is not only a wall, can not be a wall, can be not a wall. And I think that it's very important for people, for culture to say where I am not. And this kind of things is very important, especially on the economical point of view also, which is touching me. It means we are discussing with country, we are in Europe, not in Europe, and they are not, for example, we would like to have a small business act in Europe. Okay, and not only Chinese taking advantage of the European subvention for infrastructure in East Europe. I think that border is important, but not only for this issue that we have now. We have to be recognized. We are very different inside Europe. If we have not a clear sign, symbolic sign where we are, what we are, I think we will not develop and we will not tackle our difference. I would like to add that Europe is a war territory. Since cycles, you had a war every 10 years in Europe. Okay, if we are not tackling this cultural and political issue, we will have war in Europe because we are so different. But we are different if we have to construct the fact that Europe is a mediation system. It's not a territory. It's a mediation system. It's a system.